Are you ready for fun, fun, fun?
Welcome back, everybody. I know that obviously my YouTube video upload schedule is pretty pathetic at this point, but I released 2 videos in a row on a Wednesday afternoon, and I've been going through it mentally lately, and I just wanted to record a video and upload it, if for no other reason than to help my mental health. I'll go into a little bit of it, but not all of it, but mentally I have been going through a lot of stress. So this one's for me, and probably about 3 or 4 other people, who, according to my analytics, will probably only watch for a couple seconds max. Yes, I am talking about you. But I'm also going to be attempting something kind of new, not really. This is going to be a bit of a hybrid episode involving the random Rant series sub-banner. But I'm also going to talk about some other stuff. So, the primary motivator for me recording this video is that I am recording this video today on Easter Sunday of the calendar year 2025. So, first off, I guess, happy belated Easter, because this video will be coming out later than Easter, but I am recording it on Easter, so. But the primary reason that I am recording this video is that on Monday, so tomorrow for me, 2 days ago, if you are watching this on the day that it comes out, or on April 21st, 2025, if you are watching this at any point in the future, I am getting my next dosage of multiple sclerosis medication infused into my bloodstream tomorrow, / on that date. If you are at all lost in the dark and do not understand exactly what I am talking about, I would highly recommend that you check out my MS Chan Says Hello World video that I released sometime, I believe, in January of 2025 as part of the Artificial Lack of Intelligence subseries. MS Chan can be seen here in this Bing Image AI Generator generated image, which has the number 11 in it. Now, what do I mean by the number 11? What is my motivation for...
What do you call a motivation?
Having MS Chan surrounded by the number 11. April 21st of 2025, I will be receiving my 11th intravenous infusion of multiple sclerosis specific treatment medication. I really don't know how to describe it perfectly, but I will not name it here because I am not going through the effort of including another medical disclaimer at the beginning of a video. But I just kind of wanted to spew that information into the void because I looked at my phone the other day and I keep calendar notifications on my phone for each of the appointments that I make pertaining to when I get my next intravenous infusion. And this one that I am about to get / will have recently gotten is noted as being my 11th infusion. So I just kind of realized, like, man, I've gotten a lot of this drug pumped into my veins. For context, the first dose was split half and half. I had to go 2 different times to get the first dose fully pumped into my blood because this medication that I get is supposed to last you for approximately 6 months. So you get 2 doses every year. So naturally, if you've never had it before, it is likely to cause some kind of system shock in your body, and I do not say that from a point of medical professionalism. I merely say that because that's a pretty reasonable thing, right? If you're getting that much medication pumped into you at once, there's a non-zero possibility that your body will not just take to it immediately, so they split up that first dose. So I guess you could say this is only going to be my 10th individual infusion because it's going to be a full infusion, whereas that first one was split into 2 parts. But I don't know. I consider it the 11th because it's the 11th time I've had to go to an infusion center to get the medication dosed into my body. Unfortunately, I will not be seeing my neurologist for another month, maybe a month and a half. I don't exactly recall. But anyone who is familiar with the trajectory of my own career in my personal life knows that I went unemployed and therefore went without insurance for a good 9-10 months last year, 2024, and I was able to receive both of my doses of this intravenous medicine last year, but I was only able to see my neurologic specialist doctor once last year, and I managed to see her literally days before my insurance coverage from my previous job cut loose once they let me go. So I haven't seen her in a while, and I miss her terribly. Not only because I like her as a person and think she is wonderful, but also because, as one will probably recall from a previous episode of the Random Rant subseries, when I was living an hour away from this house, I was still driving to work every day, and I was making an hour-long drive every day to work and back from work, in addition to the 8 hours that I had to work as per normal. And as I noted in that video, I really was struggling with being tired, and lately I have been struggling with that just the same. In total clarity, I do not know exactly what the reason for that is. My pessimistic, worst apocalyptic fear is that my condition has worsened and maybe my brain is getting more scarred over time. But as I mentioned, I am about to go get another dosage of intravenous medication. It is possible, from what little digging and research I have done online, that not getting medication does reduce the efficacy, in a manner of speaking. Do not quote me, I am not a medical professional, over time. So maybe I'm just experiencing more fatigue because it's been a while since I've been in the chair, so to speak. It doesn't really help that even though I have had my new job, quote unquote new job, for 4 or 5 months at the time of recording this video on April 20th, Easter Sunday, 2025, there is still a lot for me to learn, and when I am struggling with / combating higher than normal levels of fatigue in addition to the stress and anxiety that I am feeling as part of the learning process with my new job, it all really adds up. And there's also been some familial anxiety stress on top of all that I will not go into, but I have just been feeling really down and out lately. So to anyone who does watch this video, I do appreciate it because it makes the effort feel worth it in a sense. I feel validated / affirmed in some way when I see that people actually watch my videos. But okay, I'm not gonna just ramble on and on about multiple sclerosis to infinity, because Toho Company Limited did kind of outline their plans for the future of the Godzilla property, as we can see here. I'm not going to do a whole video about this. If you wish to watch a full video about it, I highly recommend a video that I watched by GojiFan93. But the long and short of it is that Toho wishes to expand the reach of the Godzilla franchise, property, what have you. I did do a separate announcement video on it months ago when they did announce that Takashi Yamazaki would be returning for a direct sequel to Godzilla -1, although technically we did not know at the time that it was going to be a direct sequel. But I just wanted to touch on this a little bit because it is good in general that Toho plans on expanding the Godzilla brand in a more general sense, but I did feel it worth my time as well as yours to point out that Toho included in their business plans 2 things: develop console games and develop mobile games. I'll do this kind of in reverse. Toho has kind of earned themselves a negative reputation of sorts in the Godzilla fandom because they just love making random, no one really cares mobile games for the Godzilla franchise, including such topics as Godzilla Defense Force, which a certain YouTuber may have done a number of videos regarding. But if you note on this business plan sheet, it says, quote, develop console games to attract attract gaming fans around the world by making significant investments. So I'm just going to give you my kind of basic thoughts on this. Generally speaking, as a Godzilla fan, I very much appreciate the general idea that Toho is going to make a concerted effort to expand the reach / financial viability of the Godzilla property overseas. Considering, as an American, I technically am overseas, this includes me, so that's good, although, as I have said in various videos in the past, I really hope that this does not spoil or taint the Godzilla franchise in any way, because ideologically, there are a lot of components of the Western Godzilla-based fandom that really do not deserve any more airtime. Certain artists and YouTubers and other creative aspects of the Western Godzilla fan base really like to touch on alphabet soup politics, and because I respect you, the viewer, and respect your time and your own personal beliefs, I am not going to go into mine, but unfortunately, involving your fictional property in the Western market in the current year unfortunately means that a lot of people who take issue with the acronym YWNBAW unfortunately will give their opinions and try to push your franchise in that direction. Fortunately, I am just a no-name random YouTuber who has no influence on anything, so if you dislike any of the things that I am presently saying, worry not, you are in the majority of this fan base, unfortunately. But more specifically in regards to Godzilla console games, first off, I believe this plan that they gave us technically goes all the way out to the year 2028, so as I record this, that is a 3/4 year plan, so do not expect any sort of gaming related announcements in the immediate future is what I would say. I am not going to get my hopes up in regards to any new Godzilla video games. At the time of recording this video, I am 28 years old. If Godzilla movies were in a doldrum period between 2004 and 2014, Godzilla video games have been in a doldrum period since at least 2014, if not 2007, because Godzilla for the PS4 came out in 2014, so as of the time of recording this video, that was 11 years ago. If you're like me and you thought that that game was subpar, then technically we have been in a Godzilla video game content doldrum period since 2007, which is when Godzilla Unleashed came out, and if you really want to stretch the definition of a doldrum period, I would say the last good Godzilla video game that came out was Godzilla Save the Earth, which came out in 2004. And again, at the time of recording this, it's been 21 years minimum since that game came out. So I am not particularly optimistic about what this means. And according to the words of another Godzilla YouTuber, the definition of a Godzilla console game is pretty lenient. A person such as myself would really like to see another Godzilla-based three-dimensional fighting game, yes, as should be evidenced by much of the content that I have released on this channel, including particularly the Idea Arena sub-series of videos. But who is to say? We could get a 3D Godzilla game that has nothing to do with monsters fighting monsters. Now, the developers for this next thing have not outright come out and said anything about this that I know of, but it should be made clear that according to things stated by some of the developers for this project, the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee modding project for the ROM/ISO of of Godzilla Save the Earth on the PlayStation 2 playable through the PC SX2 emulation platform could in some way be affected by this plan. But I am not a developer, nor am I in any position of authority regarding the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee project. So keep that in mind. I am just saying, based on what I remember from interviews with some of the developers for the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee project, that Toho has a habit of taking down and targeting for shutdown fan-related Godzilla gaming projects, but this only happens when it kind of interferes with the financial security of any number of official upcoming products that Toho Company Limited is involved with the licensing for. So, I'm not saying doom and gloom, it's over, people, Godzilla Save the Earth Melee is doomed, but I just want to put that out there that it's possible that the metaphorical health and continued existence of the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee project may be jeopardized depending on what future console games means in terms of Toho's actual output. And remember, that was a long-term plan that they outlined, so there's always the possibility that Toho just drops that wholesale and gives up on it. So I'm not saying to worry just yet, but I'm just saying to keep that in mind because we have no idea what the future holds. In the off chance that the worst does come to pass and Godzilla Save the Earth Melee and any number of other fan-driven Godzilla projects have to bite the bullet, there is something that I also wanted to roll into this already very confused and poorly planned, if planned at all, video. And that would be to go over again the monster manual for the 1954/classic iteration of Godzilla, because anyone who has stuck around knows that my original video about this particular topic is a little bit outdated, and I wanted to just touch upon it again just to refresh it because, well, I'll say it after I go through it. Classic Godzilla is the original Gojira and Godzilla Raids Again iteration of Godzilla. It's a rather narrow set of years, but it makes sense, especially when you consider that within the lore, this literally is just basically the first Godzilla. He dies the same way. Daisuke Serizawa perishes in the detonation of the oxygen destroyer. You guys all know the original story. As has been noted in the past by yours truly, this version of Godzilla is based off of the Godzilla 90s/Godzilla Heisei iteration of the character, which as of the time of recording this video we have not seen yet, but that makes a lot of sense. This version of Godzilla cannot beam battle in the traditional sense. The most interesting thing about this version of Godzilla is that his beam weapon will apparently be similar to the Baragon beam weapon as seen in the vanilla Godzilla Save the Earth. For the record, those are my words, not the manuals. Where Godzilla cannot beam battle in his classic incarnation, but as a sort of benefit, if we deign to call it that, hitting the opponent with this beam does a sort of lingering burn effect on the opponent. As the manual points out, technically Godzilla 1954 did show up in Godzilla Unleashed on the Wii, but for many different reasons, that incarnation of 1954 Godzilla was less than stellar. So the fact that they are going with a more reverent approach that is based more on the Save the Earth Melee incarnation of the 90s/Heisei Godzilla is excellent, and for reasons that I will outline very shortly, Classic Godzilla is probably, aside from Heisei Godzilla, the character which I am most excited for a reveal/presentation regarding for the Godzilla Save the Earth Melee project. I do not remember if the statistics were present when I originally went over Classic Godzilla in that old video, there isn't really anything that I can note about the statistics specifically, other than it's kind of crazy that the 1954 Godzilla has a 9.5 out of 10 power ranking score. Statistic score, I guess maybe would be a better way of putting it. Understandably, the classic Godzilla is not very agile, and I am quite honestly curious as to what that will translate to in terms of gameplay, because the number given here is 3 out of 10, not 1 out of 10 or 0 out of 10. So I'm very curious what the range of agility will be for this version of Godzilla. And given that we have not seen both the Heisei Godzilla and Classic Godzilla, I cannot take it as a given that this version of Godzilla or the Heisei version of Godzilla will even be able to jump in the first place. We know that Heisei Godzilla, and as a consequence, more likely than not, the Classic Godzilla will have a quote-unquote boss walk, but we do not necessarily know the full picture regarding the agility of either of those versions of Godzilla. The 6 out of 10 utility score for Classic Godzilla does not particularly surprise me, and despite what I am about to say, the weapon score does not particularly surprise me either. But it is 7 out of 10, not 5 out of 10. So the lingering burn damage effects of the atomic fire / atomic breath for Classic Godzilla maybe has more of a range of application / utility than I am presupposing. But it's not a total shock that utility is only 6 out of 10, because I can't imagine this version of Godzilla is going to be a Swiss Army knife like the Showa version of Godzilla will be. And as far as the skins go, there are no new skins since the last time I covered Classic Godzilla, which, if you do not recall, was in a video where I discussed potential rage moves for the Gigantus the Fire Monster skin version of Anguirus, also referred to in this very manual as Angulus. But, as I have also said in the past, I do not expect this, but I will not be surprised in the slightest if they add a 4th page to the Classic Godzilla suite / roster of alternate appearances. He doesn't even have a render or a model yet, and based on the other pages of the manual, there does not seem to be any in-game representation of Classic Godzilla at the moment. I don't want to linger too long on this, but I just want to point out a couple things here. The Godzilla -1 skin is attached to Classic Godzilla, which only really makes sense, but he does have an alternate rage move called the Beam Bomb, which I assume is going to basically just be in-game recreation of the Ginza scene from Godzilla -1, but, you know, that is different from the Atomic Bomb rage move for most of the other versions of Classic Godzilla. I did not mention this, I believe, in my original coverage of Classic Godzilla, but for the 5 or 10 of you to which this matters, Gorgo is going to be an alternate skin for the Classic Godzilla. In total truth, I have not watched the Gorgo movie before. I did buy the Blu-ray 7 or 8 months ago, but I have not given it any time to watch it yet. But it is cool nonetheless that Gorgo will be showing up in the game in some form as an alternate skin for Classic Godzilla. And as you can see, Gorgo does not have a rage attack yet, as I say rather frequently anymore, it seems. I have not watched the movie, so I can't think of anything they could do for that. I'm not going to talk about any of the other skins that I think they can add for Classic Godzilla in Save the Earth Melee, especially considering, like I said, I do not know necessarily if the project is going to survive long enough to give us any indication of what the classic Godzilla would play like. But to kind of fill you guys in on why I even did a segment of this video regarding classic Godzilla, I have trouble sleeping some nights, and I don't know why, but for some reason, classic Godzilla is like the first thing that my mind goes to kind of fill in that space, to kind of tire my brain out so that I will fall asleep. I highly anticipate whenever it is that we get gameplay of classic Godzilla within Godzilla Save the Earth Melee. Although, I would honestly be extremely excited if they gave us a render or a picture of the classic Godzilla in-game, even if we didn't get gameplay at this point. So, I just wanted to talk about some of that stuff. Alright, that's about all I got in the tank for right now. Hopefully, I'll feel a little bit more energetic once I get my medicine tomorrow, which obviously is in the past for you, the viewer. Please consider dropping a like down below if you at all enjoyed any of the many disparate parts of this video, especially considering I technically tried to record this video yesterday on Saturday, April 19th, 2025, but I must have had my microphone disconnected or something, because when I tried to run the video file through the automatic silence remover tool, it basically just gave me a blank project to work with. So giving me a little bit of positive feedback would definitely help me out, especially because I'm probably going to be dog tired after tomorrow. Drop a comment in the comment section below, commenting on any of the various topics that I have outlined in this video. Nobody's going to, but that doesn't mean I can't ask you to. Please subscribe, because sometimes when I am feeling like an idiot at work, I look up the Social Blade page for my YouTube channel to kind of revitalize my dim candle of hope that I frequently consider just tossing out. And if you really want to support me, I would very much appreciate it if you checked out Mount Merch, my merchandise store. I do hope at some point in the future to purchase and wear in one of these recordings some of my merchandise available through this storefront, but that's how tight money is right now, so unfortunately I don't have anything. But I would really appreciate it if you took the time to check it out and maybe buy something from it. I try to keep the prices low, as I have said before. So anyway, that's about all I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, though I sincerely and wholeheartedly doubt that anyone even watched it. Regardless of my pessimistic tendencies, I hope you all have a good day and take it easy, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Get up, you son of a bitch!